let's go make this precious ghost rag pillow. But first, always remember to share this so it will save to your profile and you can find it when you're looking for it again later. I started with 36 5x5 inch squares and 72 pieces of flannel. They're also 5x5. Now, I have a whole bunch of scrap flannel because I've told y'all before, my little ladies only slept on flannel when they were little, and now they've outgrown that. The blankets are too small, and so I've cut them up, and I'm using them in all kinds of sentimental projects, including this one. So, if you have scrap flannel, it's a great use for it. If not, you can get you some flannel of any color, or you can use batting, cotton batting, or polyester batting. If you're using polyester batting, that's the batting that is a little bit hairier, and you want to make sure you cut your squares an inch smaller. So this is 5x5. Your polyester batting is going to be 4x4, so that when you sew your X and then sew your pieces together, when you clip it, you don't want that hairy hanging out. 36 5x5 fabrics for the front, 72 flannels for behind it. I'm not putting anything on the back side of mine. It's just going to be the fabric front and the flannel, because this is going to be inside my pillow that nobody's going to see. But if you want to put fabric on the back, I want you to. And one 9.5 inch by 9.5 inch square of fabric and two 9.5 by 9.5 pieces of flannel. Now this is the center of our pillow. I'm going to put this down. And y'all know this is my ghost template, and I'm so proud of it. And I know y'all are tired of hearing me talk about it, but I can't help it. I am so proud. So this ghost is going to go on here. The first thing I did was pieced some strips together that I had, just some scrap. I cut him out of the ghost. Then I took some black fabric and cut out his eyes and his mouth. So I'm going to go and stitch him onto this center square. Now I'm going to stitch basically on top of the stitches I already made. I've already stitched him to a piece of flannel and cut him out. So I'm just going to go around him just like this. And then I'm going to come sew his eyes and his mouth on. Straight stitch, back stitching when you start and when you stop, because my grandma said so.
This set of templates that Missouri Star Quilt Company created from my art come in a set. It's a holiday set. There's a ghost, a turkey, and a Christmas tree. And you could make this exact same pillow for all of the seasons. I mean, I promise you I'm making it for all of the seasons because I'm so proud of these templates that I just can't stop looking at them.
Okay, I've sewn my ghost onto my center block. Look, it's so cute on the back. Not that you'll see it, but it has the ghost outline. Now I'm going to go and sew all 36 of my squares just like this. I'm going to lay 2 pieces of flannel and 1 square. And I'm going to sew a straight stitch here and here. I'm just going to sew an X on the top of it. And I'm going to do that to all 36 squares. Now, I'm going to chain piece mine, and I know lots of people don't backstitch when they chain piece, but y'all, my grandma scared me. She terrified me. So I'm going to backstitch when I chain piece, and if you're asking me, the answer is always yes.
Teaching y'all how to sew online has been such a rewarding experience, mostly because I get to relive so many of the lessons that my grandmother taught me that I'm not sure I would ever even conjure up if it weren't for this experience. And I want to thank y'all for that, for allowing me to share the things that my grandmother taught me. And my grandmother was not professionally taught. She had an 8th grade education. She was a utilitarian sewer. She sewed out of necessity. She married young. She had 4 kids, and she sewed because she had to. And she made things work. She used what she had, and that's how she taught me, and that's how I sew. And I know lots of people out there yell at me because I don't do things the right way or the way that they think is the right way, but it's the way that I was taught. And it works, and I love it. And I want you to sew exactly the way that you want to. I want you to sew the way you were taught. And for all of y'all who sew like me, I love it. And for those of you who don't sew like me, but are still part of this community, I love that too. I love that we can all come together and teach each other things because y'all have taught me so much. One day, I'm going to do a video on all of the things that you have taught me.
Okay, I've sewn all my blocks. Now we're going to lay the front of our pillow out. This is our center square. And then you're going to have squares all the way around it in whatever way you want your squares to look. You're going to have 4 across the top, 4 across the bottom, and 4 coming down the sides. Now, my pieces came from a charm pack, so I'm just making them work because I love all of the fabrics. So stinking cute. Okay, this is what the front of my pillow is going to look like. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to pick up the first row, and we're going to push the rest of our pillow to the side. Now I'm going to lay the first 2 pieces backside to backside. So we want the pretty side on the outside and the pretty side on the outside. And I'm going to sew right here, just like this. Straight stitch. I'm going to do a wider seam instead of a 1/4 inch. Mine's probably going to be 5/8, half an inch, something like that, because we're going to come back and clip it. And I want to make sure that I leave plenty of room to clip it, and so I won't accidentally clip my stitches, which probably will happen anyway, but we are going to sew it a little wider here. Now, you're going to sew it with a straight stitch, back stitching when you start and when you stop, because my grandma said so. And this is what we have. Flannel on the back. Y'all know mine doesn't match because it's going to be on the inside. It's the little lady's blankets, but flannel on the back, and then this is the front. And this is what we're going to go back and clip later. Now, I'm going to fold this open, and I'm going to lay the next piece just like this. Pretty side on the outside, and I'm going to stitch right here, and then I'm going to fold that open and do this one the same way.
I just used a charm pack for my pillow, and there's 42 pieces in each charm pack, so there's plenty for one pillow.
We have our first row sewn. Now it comes to our center block and the 2 on the bottom and the 2 on the top. This is how we're going to sew these. We're going to sew these 2 together, pretty sides on the outside, just like this and just like this. That's the first thing we're going to do, and then we're going to sew this to this block. Same way, straight stitch, a little wider than a 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when you start and when you stop.
A charm pack is a pack of 5 by 5 inch squares, and they come 42 to a pack.
So now we have our center block, and here are our pieces for the top and the bottom. So now we're just going to pick this up, pretty side on the outside, pretty side on the outside. We're going to sew right here. We're going to open that up, and then we're going to do this one the same way, just like that. I'm going to sew it a little wider than a 1/4 inch, straight stitch, back stitching when I start and when I stop. So this is what I have. Now I'm going to take the bottom piece, and I'm going to do it the same way. Pretty side on the outside of both pieces. So now this is what we have. I'm going to lay this pretty side on the outside of both pieces, and I'm going to stitch all the way down there, same way that we did the others. Okay, now we have our last side to do. I'm going to pick this up and sew it to this one, open it up, sew it to this one, and then to this one, the same way we've sewn the rest of this. Pretty side on the outside, straight stitch, a little wider than a 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when we start and when we stop.
A charm pack or a pack of 5 by 5 inch squares usually comes with 1 or more pieces from one collection. So like this one is Halloween themed.
Okay, now we have this side done. I'm going to pick it up, both sides, pretty side to the outside, and sew it the same way. And then we're going to be finished with the front of our pillow, and then we're going to do our 2 back pieces. Okay, here's the front of our pillow. Look how cute it is. This is for an 18 by 18 inch pillow form, and we're making an envelope style pillow, so the pillow form will just slide in it. There's no stuffing and sewing when you're finished. This is adorable. Now, the back of our pillow, we're going to make 2 of these, and they're going to be 4 across and 3 down. Okay, here is one back. Now let me lay out the second back. Now I've already sewn these 2 pieces together because I started this, and then I thought, no, I need to show y'all how we're making it. I'm going to sew each one of these rows just like this, and then we'll sew our rows together. And I'm going to sew them by picking up the first 2 pieces and laying them flannel to each other, pretty side on the outside. Sew right here, open it up, and then add a piece. You sew your rows, and I'm going to sew my rows.
When you choose pre-cut fabric, it solves 2 problems, for me anyway. Number 1, it's already cut. It's the size that you want it to be. And number 2, it comes with a collection of all of the prints for whatever you're looking for. And even when I have to cut the pieces down to something different than the size that I get them, I love all of the different fabrics that come in a pre-cut collection. Because that takes the guesswork, for me anyway, out of a whole bunch of coordinating fabrics for the project that I'm making. When I have new students who are making something for the very first time, I always have them choose from pre-cut collections because it is so much easier for them to choose a whole collection when they love all of the colors than trying to put fabrics together. And I remember when I first started sewing, I did not trust my own fabric choices. And choosing the fabric for a project can be stressful. So to make it less stressful, the pre-cut choices are a great option.
Now we're going to sew our back pieces. We've sewn all of our rows. We have 3 rows in each back piece. The first back piece, we're going to take the top 2 pieces, or however you organize yours. And we're going to lay them with the flannels together, pretty side on the outside. We're going to sew right down here. Straight stitch, a little wider than a 1/4 inch seam, back stitching because my grandma said so. Now we're going to sew the other piece to our back the same way. We're going to put it on there, pretty sides on the outside, straight stitch. Okay, here's one back piece done. Now I'm going to put that to the side and I'm going to sew these three together for the second back piece. So your back pieces are going to overlap on the back of your pillow like this. And your pillow is going to go in between here, between the back and the front of your pillow. So choose whatever two sides of the back pieces are going to be the overlapping sides. For me, it's going to be the bottom of this piece. I'm going to put a clip there, and the top of this piece. Now, the reason you're doing that is because the next thing we're going to do is sew a straight stitch down here and then across there, so we can clip that and make it fray too.
If your fabric is directional, you want to make sure you're straight stitching across the bottom of one piece of your back and the top of the other piece of your back.
Okay, we've done that. So we're going to take the front of our pillow and we're going to lay it face down. Y'all don't pay attention to my mismatched flannel from my little lady's blankets. And we're going to take the first piece of our overlapping back pieces and we're going to lay it pretty side up. So again, we have pretty side out and pretty side out, just like this. Now, I straight stitched right here so I can clip that. Then we're going to take the piece that's going to be the other overlapping back piece and we're going to lay it pretty side up, just like this. Now, I straight stitched right here so I can clip that one. Now, we're going to sew all the way around the outside of this, just like we put our pillow together. A little wider than a 1/4 inch seam, maybe a 1/2 inch or 5/8, or maybe even wider than that if you want to. And we're just gonna sew all the way around in one square. I'm gonna clip mine. I'm not normally a pinner or a clipper, but I am gonna clip these because they're kind of bulky and I wanna make sure that nothing shifts on me and that I can catch all of my layers of fabric when I go around. All right, let's sew all the way around this. Back stitching when we start and when we stop, because my grandma said so.
This is just a universal needle that's in my sewing machine. It's not anything that is super heavy. You can change your needle to a heavier one if you have trouble going through all the layers of fabric, but I didn't have any trouble doing mine.
Okay, this is what we have. Y'all, this is precious. Now, let's put a pillow form in it. Oh my goodness. Look how precious he is. Now, I probably should have clipped him before I put the pillow form. I just got excited. So the next thing you're going to do is clip him all the way around. Now, I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm clipping mine about a 1/2 inch apart or a 1/4 inch. I'm trying to clip it more versus less, but clip it as close together as you're comfortable. It gets to be a lot of clipping, but you're going to clip all the way around, and then you're going to clip all the seams in the center. And then you can wash it and it will fray some more, or you can rub it together. I'm guilty of doing that too because I don't have the patience sometimes to see what it looks like after it's been washed. Okay, so I've officially covered myself with dust and ragged some portion of this. I clipped it and I scrubbed it with a snail brush. Yo, this is so stinking cute. I'm gonna go finish clipping the rest of mine so that I can rag it too, and I can't wait to see the ones that y'all make. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.